Alright, so we're starting off the chapter talking about the relationship between lines. Basically, it's about when two lines intersect in a special way, or don't intersect. So, we have these two lines here that never ever touch. Two lines that lie on the same plane and do not intersect. You guys might remember this as parallel. Two lines are parallel if they never intersect. Now take a look at this notation here. You guys see these arrows? These arrows are trying to show you that these two lines are parallel. As long as two lines have the same number of arrows, then that's saying that they're parallel. So if they both had two arrows like this, then they're still parallel because they still have the same number of arrows. Two lines that meet to form right angles are perpendicular. This might be a new word for you guys, perpendicular. Perpendicular. They meet at right angles. They form right angles. That's what that little square means. So two lines, in this case, would be perpendicular. Here we have line A is perpendicular to line B. Up here, if we named these A and B, we'd say that line A is parallel to line B. All right, talking about planes, two planes that do not intersect. Well, planes can be parallel too. Two planes that don't intersect can be parallel too. So two planes are parallel if they do not intersect. Picture two pieces of paper kind of like hovering over one another. They don't intersect. They're hovering over one another. They're not touching. Now, two lines can be perpendicular to each other, but a line can also be perpendicular to a plane. So a line perpendicular, I'm going to shorten this to the word perp. I'm going to do a lot of shortening, especially when we start to write these long words. So perp is what I mean by perpendicular. A line perpendicular to a plane is a line that intersects a plane at a point that is perpendicular to every line that lies on it or intersects it. What the heck does that mean? Well, if we were to draw a picture of a plane, remember it's kind of like a piece of paper, and imagine shoving a pencil right through it, right through the middle. And I'm going to do a dotted line because you can't see the rest, because imagine it's behind the paper. It's intersecting right here. This part you'd be able to see. All right, so I drew my picture. If I did it just perfectly, that I went right through the middle, it's nice and straight, it would be perpendicular to that plane, which means any line I draw on that plane would be perpendicular to that orange line I drew. All right, let's talk about these words and their notation. Two lines are parallel. Well, we already talked about these arrows. Remember, if they have the same number of arrows, then they're parallel. Sometimes it could be one, it could be two, sometimes it's even three. How do we write that? Line A is parallel to line B. Well, we'd have A, like we wrote earlier, is parallel to line B. These two lines together mean parallel. Looks like they're two slashes, but they never touch, so it's a good way to represent parallel. Perpendicular, you have line A and B here that are perpendicular. They meet at a 90-degree angle. That's what this symbol's for. It's like an upside-down T. So line A is perpendicular to line B. It's a nice way to represent perpendicular because the line that makes up the tall part and the line that makes up the base, they're perpendicular. That's what that upside-down T means, because they meet at a nice 90-degree angle. All right, let's determine what kind of lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. The first one is N and M, the first pair. So let's look at what we see between N and M. Well, it looks like they're not touching. They don't touch. I see some squares here, but not between the two of them. These two lines don't touch. I do, however, see these arrows. These arrows are showing me that those two lines are parallel. So N is parallel to M. All right, what about P and Q? Let's look at P and Q. Well, they do intersect, so they can't be parallel. But do they intersect at a right angle? I don't see a square, so they're not perpendicular either. So I'm going to put neither. Neither. All right, finally, N and P. I see that they intersect right here. And do they intersect to form a special angle? Yeah, I got a little square there. That means they intersect at a 90-degree angle or a right angle. That means they're perpendicular. I'd write that as P is perpendicular to N, or N is perpendicular to P. I want you guys to try the next two.